We all know what the problem is. We all know what to do about it. The Surgeon General is saying that we need warning labels for social media apps. And there are schools that are considering a ban on phones altogether somehow. As a child, I could just sit down and draw for hours. I would sit in the living room by the little coffee table and just sit and draw for hours on end. Or I could read a book for hours. I was just able to concentrate on one thing for extended periods of time. But right now, I have trouble to concentrate at any one thing for, let's say, 20 minutes. My attention span is shot. I cannot focus. The first thing we think about when talking about getting our focus back is the phone and how big of a distraction it is. And then we think about all the idiot-proof stuff, right? So no more notifications, put your screen on black and white, put timers on how much you can use your apps, put another app on your phone so that the apps don't look so enticing to click on it anymore. Even after all of that stuff, there is still this ginormous urge to pick up the phone. The challenge is to just not. When you want to pick up your phone, for whatever reason that is, if it's not urgent, just don't pick up the phone. I know, it's easier said than done. But even when we do that, the damage has already been done. At least that's the case for me, because my attention span has already shrunk so much. And we do live in this distraction-filled world where our brains are just conditioned to pay attention to something for like a few seconds as opposed to actually focusing on something for extended periods of time. And then the phone is not the only external distraction that I like to blame for my lack of focus. I also like to blame other environmental things around me. For example, when I sit at my desk and I'm working, Mojo really loves to sit right behind me, right behind my chair. Not only is he constantly licking, I think he also farted. And then this constant licking that he does really isn't constantly. It's just a few seconds, maybe a minute that he's licking, but it's so annoying to me sometimes. And then when I am working basically in the living room / kitchen because we don't have an extra room where I can have an office. And that also sometimes is just a little... In this case, there's an obvious way to mitigate that distraction. I can just put noise canceling headset on, for example, and then I won't be that distracted when somebody walks into the living room, for example. And also for external distractions and for ideas on how to focus your attention and your time better, there are lots of YouTube videos and books that you can consume. There's a lot of content out there that can help you do so. And then there's 3 books that I find especially helpful with this. And those 3 books are Essentialism by Greg McEwen, The 12-Week Year by Brian P. Morgan and Michael Lennington, and Slow Productivity by Cal Newport. There is one other distraction that I can't get away from and that I can't mitigate as easily, and that is my brain. When I sit down to do something and I have managed all the external distractions, then inevitably my brain will distract me anyway at some point. Especially when the task at hand is not interesting or just not fun, then I involuntarily start to think about how many miles do I have on my running shoes right now? Should I buy new ones? Maybe I should hit the gym more. Should I cut sugar altogether? Is Mr. Mako Anderson happy that we adopted him? Does he like it here? Did Mojo rather stay an only pup? That distraction from within, that's a lot harder to tackle, and I feel like there is a lot less tangible information out there in order to quiet that internal distraction. But I did inadvertently find a way to be able to focus better, and that is through meditation and through journaling. And yes, I know it sounds super lame, but please bear with me. These things really did help me. So on the topic of meditation, I initially started my meditation practice this year, not specifically to improve my focus when it comes to my productivity, but with respect to my performance as a runner. I'll also be adding 20 minutes of meditation to that at the end of my yoga practices, because the best athletes in the world use meditation and visualization to enhance their performance, so it might help me as well. At the beginning of this year, I started a daily meditation practice of 20 minutes a day. When I started meditating, it was just incredibly difficult for me to be still, not just the sitting still part, but to be still up here. There are so many thoughts running through my head all the time. And to be honest, most of these thoughts are not very positive. And when a thought like that goes through my head, whatever negative thought it is, I want to make sure that that thought is gone, and then I do something to basically take that feeling that then comes from the thought away. So for example, if I'm sitting at my desk and I'm working on a YouTube video and a thought comes up about, well, it's pointless because you're not gonna be successful on YouTube anyway, then my reaction to that would be to get up and go, I don't know, eat a sandwich, or I don't do something completely different that is not necessarily conducive to me, for example, scripting that YouTube video. So what does meditation do for me in that case? By meditating, all those thoughts also come through my head, but then instead of reacting to them, I've committed to just sitting there for 20 minutes and deal with the thought instead of doing something else to not think about it. And in that moment, I can then tell myself, all right, you are perfectly capable of being successful on YouTube. You just need to not quit. Then I put that thought away and try to be still. Now that I've been doing this for such a long time, for just 6 months now, close to 6 months, I'm actually noticing that the barrage of thoughts that normally comes into my head over and over and over again is getting to be less. It really, the waterfall of negative thoughts is becoming less and less. It's not gone, but it's less than it was 6 months ago, which means I can just intrinsically focus better on what I do because I'm actually able to focus and I'm not saying all these weird things to myself all the time. So then there's the second tool that I use to focus better, and that is journaling. Specifically with pen and paper so that I'm not tethered to a screen again. And I have had a daily journaling practice for years now. But right now I'm using that tool of journaling when I feel the resistance to, or when I feel resistance to whatever I'm doing. So when that happens, when I do feel resistance to whatever I'm doing because it's no use anyway, or this is completely boring, or I need to look at something else, then I just pick up a pen and some paper and I start writing. So when I feel the urge to randomly watch a YouTube video or randomly look at my analytics again, and that's my Achilles heel right now, I look at my analytics all the freaking time for no good reason, because from 1 minute to the next, not a whole lot is gonna change on my analytics, but I keep looking at it. That's the bad thing that is distracting me right now. But so now what I'm doing, when I do get that thought, hey, I need to look at my analytics again for no good reason, I write down, I want to look at my analytics again. And why do I actually want to look at my analytics at this moment? I want to look at my analytics again because I feel like I'm doing nothing useful with my life right now. I feel like a total loser because I'm not successful at this new thing. And then in that moment when I read all those really unkind thoughts that I have about myself or what I'm doing, then I can usually find a way to be kinder to myself and find a way to give myself a little bit of a pep talk and get back at what I really want to do in that moment, as opposed to just being so unkind and then giving up altogether. Now, I do realize that the strategy of getting a piece of paper and then a pen and write down your thoughts that you then run the risk of being distracted for an extended period of time again. But I do think it's useful because you are working through those feelings and why you are feeling distracted at the moment. And it might even be because you just don't like the task, right? Then just write that down. Hey, I'm not liking this task right now, but I really want to do it because. And then when you write down why, then you're probably gonna be more motivated to keep going with the task at hand rather than doing something completely different or cleaning procrastinatingly, right? I do that a lot. I start cleaning when I have better things to do, other goals that I want to achieve, but I can't focus. I start cleaning. But yeah, like I said, if you can write stuff down, get your emotions out of your head, and then give yourself a little bit of a pep talk, the time that you spend on that, I think, or at least in my case, is then a lot shorter than whatever I would have chosen to do otherwise and whatever would have distracted me, especially if that distraction would have been scrolling on Instagram or watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos again. That's what I've been doing lately to regain my focus, and it really did help. Honestly, the meditation practice and then little journaling breaks. And sometimes the journaling breaks are a little bit longer, but then after that, it just prevents me from getting distracted again by the same thoughts, if that makes sense. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this long. If you are still here, then you are definitely my people. I'd be honored if you choose to subscribe and watch another video, specifically watching another video because I'm so close. I only need 1,000 more watch hours to get monetized, which when you say it out loud doesn't sound like it's a little amount of watch time. But yeah, anyway, you don't have to do anything clearly, because if you are watching this video because you're distracted because you need to get on your other task, focus back on the task that you should be doing. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Be careful out there. Pet a furry friend if you have one. And I hope to see you in the next one.